Good morning. Welcome to the Bronx Veterans Archival Initiative. Today is Monday, June 16, 2025. I am Pastor Crespo Jr., the Research Librarian and Archivist for the Bronx County Historical Society. Today, we are joined by Jesse Schraub at his apartment in North Riverdale section of the Bronx to conduct an oral history interview on his life and service to our nation. Good morning, Jesse.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
We will discuss my physical at a time when you have plenty of time. So I think we can forget my physical. I would rather discuss other things.
Of course.
How am I feeling? With one word, lousy. Go ahead.
Let's start out. How old are you?
100 plus, and I'm going to be 101 with God's help on August 26, 2025.
Wow.
Or 26, what is this, 25?
Yep, 2025 right now.
2025, I'll be 101 on August 26, 2025.
Awesome.
I was born August 26, 1924.
Great. I'm just going to go ahead and move the camera real quick.
Yep.
Great. Could you, we like to begin all of our interviews by asking, can you talk to us about each of your parents, where they're from?
I'll tell you the best information I can give you. My father came from Europe. He was a young man, I think, he was born in 1896, and he came to America in 1911. So how old was he? About 15 or 16 at the time.
Right.
And he came to live with an aunt. That's my father. My mother was born here in the U.S. of A. in East New York, Brooklyn. And I'm not too sure about how the two of them met, but they finally met. They got married in 1923, and in 1924, exactly a year later, I came along, and pictures of me are on the wall over here, right behind you. Mm-hmm. That's me. You see, that's my father, that's my mother, and that's me.
Where at? Right here?
Right there.
Okay. We'll turn the camera real quick, and we'll focus on his parents right there.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
That's right.
Great.
My mother suffered from a burst appendix in 1931 on January, and she passed away at that time. There were no medications such as penicillin or anything like that to cure or so we say, there's a certain terminology, and it's something to stop her death, and she was gone. And I was brought up by my grandmother, who was a very religious Jewish woman. My grandmother, that is her mother, in East New York. And I went to yeshiva. You know what yeshiva is? That's a Jewish parochial school. I went to yeshiva for 3 years, and it was in the days of the Depression, and it was very difficult for them to keep for heating or something like that. And I was catching cold, I was getting sick, so they decided to take me out, and they sent me to a smaller school for parochial religious training and Yeshiva Talmud Torah on Ashford Street in East New York, and I went to that's where I went. And later on, in the afternoon and in the mornings, regular times, I would go to PS 72, and after PS 72, I went to junior high school 149, from where a very famous entertainer came about, Danny Kaye, originally known as Daniel Kaminsky. Danny Kaye became an entertainer, and his favorite song was 149 is so for me. That was his famous song, and that was around the time of what year would it be? Let's see, somewhere around let's see, the 1930s. In the days of the Depression. And and then I attuned myself to religious matters, and I like to be religious, and and then afterwards, my grandmother passed away just around the time of my bar mitzvah, and I sort of brought myself up. I know there was only one way to do it, and that was do it the straight way and nicely. Don't hang around with bad kids. You hang around with smart kids, with nice kids, kids that want to progress. And that's what I did. I went to high school, to junior high school, as I told you. Then I went to, I became interested in chemistry, and I liked math. And then I went into Stuyvesant High School in Manhattan. My father had a shoe store in Manhattan, not too far from Stuyvesant High, so I was able to go there. And I believe I moved in with my father, and I lived with my father, and I went to high school.
Was that the late 30s? Was that the late 30s? You went to high school?
And that was in the 30s, yeah. It was before I went into the Army.
Got it.
Yeah, I went to high school, and it was on 15th Street between First Avenue and I don't know, there was it was not 2nd Avenue, but there was a street in between, and there was a park there.
Okay.
I recall. Of course, by now everything must be torn down, and the areas are all different, and the L's, the elevated trains,
right,
that they were torn down, and then everything became underneath,
Yeah.
And then buildings became big, and the last time I was there, I don't remember. It wasn't lately.
You still lived in Brooklyn. What neighborhood in Brooklyn?
East New York.
East New York. Can you talk to me about East New York? What was it like? What were the sounds? What did you see?
Like? It was
in the 30s.
It was a lot of Jewish people, Italian people. It was a little bit of a mix there of different religions and different other people. We all got along together. We just minded our own business, but it was a difficult life. It was not easy. I remember going to school when it was hot and snowy days, and in the wintertime, boy, it was bitter winters, and we lived through it. I went to PS 72, then I went to junior high school, I told you, and then I went to Thomas Jefferson for one term, and then afterwards I transferred to Stuyvesant High School because I wanted to become an engineer. I wanted to become a chemical engineer because I was very much enthralled as a kid watching experiments being done in a lab as an extracurricular activity that was allowed in the school. So I was watching this and said, gee, I'm about 12-year-old kid, I remember, whatever it was. I said, gee, I'd like to do that. That would be great. And so I said, I'll take a course in chemistry. So I took a course in chemistry at the highest mark in the class. I said, that's so, I know what I'm going to become a chemist. Then I decided I'm going to become a chemical engineer. I'm going to go the two together. And I wanted to know that choice also may have saved my life in a respect that later on, when I went into the Army, after 2 years of chemical engineering studying or attendance at City College, New York, in uptown New York, and up in 139th Street and Compton Avenue is where the City College campus is. City College of New York. City College was formed in 1947. No, in 1847, I believe it was formed. So, I went to. I did not join the ROTC, to tell you the truth. And, maybe I should have. Well, whatever. Look, it's 100 years old, this story. I mean, I shouldn't say 880 years old. Yeah. So it doesn't matter. So in any event, I went to, what was I saying?
Well, you had finished City College, 2 years of chemical engineering. Now, what music were you listening to in the late 30s and early 40s? What music was popular? What were you listening to in the late 30s and early 40s?
I didn't have any time to be listening to music. I was studying all the time.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I was, since I was a growing boy, at the age of 16, I needed plenty of food. And I used to take along 3 sandwiches, egg salad sandwiches, for lunch.
Okay.
That I remember.
Other than the egg salad sandwiches that you used to take with you, what were your favorite meals at home?
What do I think? What do you mean?
Your favorite meals at home.
Favorite meals at home? Well, I'll tell you the truth. For Fridays and Saturdays, chicken soup with matzo balls. And still is a favorite now, and only thing is made better than there is today. I hope the chef over here hears me say it. So let's see, what else? What was a favorite soup? Chicken soup. Every chicken soup was the best favorite soup, with favorite salary for everybody. Real chicken soup. And I remember we used to go to the store, it was a chicken farm, and I don't want to go. It's disgusting.
No worries.
Killing chickens is not.
Got it.
Yeah, that's not nice. So all right. So where are we now?
When did you join the military? How did that come about? What was your desire?
What?
How did the idea of joining the military come to your mind?
Oh, I was drafted.
You were drafted?
Right.
Perfect. When were you drafted? What year?
June 3rd, 1943. I was drafted. And I was, where was the paper? I gave it to you.
Yeah, I have it.
You get it?
Yes.
Right. June 3rd, 1943, I was drafted. A lot of it's on here. Separation Center on the 9th of January, 1946. There's a lot of it's on there.
Got it.
That you can keep that. And you have all the information about me in the Army.
Got it. I just want to make sure that our viewers hear it from you during the interview.
Right.
I can do an analysis of this document, of course. Would you like to speak about your military service?
All right, so I was drafted in June 1943, and I remember going down to the, what do you call it again? Not the separation center, the induction center. It was in around Grand Central Station, and I went there. I signed up, and and then they gave me a physical examination. They said, you qualify. And what do you want? Army, Navy, or Marines? I said, Army. Definitely not Marines or Navy. I can't swim. And I'm not going to die that way. I don't want to drown. That's one thing. The next thing is, what did you do? I said, I'm a student. Second year, completed, and that's it. What did you study? I said, chemical engineering. Okay, chemical warfare. That's what you get. Chemical warfare, Army, and that's it. And you'll be inducted into the Army.
Can we back up a little? Can you tell me how you felt the day that you received your draft notice? How did that come about? Did you get a letter?
Yeah, I got a letter. Yeah.
And how did you feel when you read that letter? What was your first impression?
Well, I was expecting it.
Okay.
I was expecting it. Everybody else was going. All my good friends. Some of them weren't. That's their business. That's all. I know what you mean. If they got away with it, that's their business.
Now, where'd you do your basic training at?
Camp Seibert, Alabama. Located somewhere around Gadsden, Alabama.
Okay.
It was in the swamp.
Do you have any memories of that you'd like to share with us, your experience at boot camp?
Yes. And so, it was a swamp. So, after I get down there, I take the train. Everywhere you go, those days, you took a train. The only thing, there was an Air Force, but it was only for combat. There was no such thing as a transportation by air. Transportation was by ship. And I'll just go ahead, and I'm coming back from service after, in January of 1946, when I'm coming back, I passed right through this river, right here. You look out the window, or I don't know if it's the back window or what, and you see the river, the Hudson River, and I came up that river, and I went straight to Camp Shanks. Camp Shanks, and it was not far from the West Point. Not far from here.
Okay. What did you do there?
Huh?
What did you do there?
Well, I didn't go there. I went Camp Shanks. When I came, this is on the return trip.
Got it.
And after combat and everything else, I came there. I got off the ship. We got into the mess hall, and we got a big fat steak. everybody. We had a big fat steak.
Okay.
On a trip back. And then from there, we went down, further to Camp Fort Dix. And there was rehabilitation and reassignment,
Got it.
And the war wasn't over yet because Japan was still fighting us because Europe already finished. Europe finished in May. Oh, and there's something else I prepared for you. Oh, God.
That's all right. We'll get it at the end. Could you, before we start talking about you leaving military service, so we talked about basic training down in Alabama.
Down in Alabama.
Great. Now, after basic training, did you go straight to your military occupational specialty training?
No.
Okay, what did you do after basic training?
So this is basic training, and the basic training, I remember we were put on it was a full pack. We had to take a nighttime hike, 25 miles, forced march, come back in the middle of the night. You take off your shoes and your skin comes with it. That's some feeling, and I still get that feeling now. I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but it happened then. Of course, my feet have healed. Everything has healed since then.
Okay.
And so I went through basic training, and the basic training was from June, about the 20th, whatever it was in the summertime, and then we were in the barracks there, and I remember getting. We remember that we're in formation, and I can term. Military, because you say you were in it. And we were in formation, the entire battalion, and as we are, all of a sudden, it's around noontime, and everybody is collapsing. A guy faints over here, and a guy faints over there, and they determine, the officers in command determine immediately, you need more salt, you guys. You're losing your salt, and that's why you're losing you're falling. And although at this age, for me, which is over 100, salt is not good for you. At that time, it was a necessity. So you needed the salt. So they said, you go back into the barracks, everybody, take off all your clothes except for your shorts, lie in bed, and when you're ready for lunch, come into the mess hall, and you will eat your food with lots of salt. We were salt, and you eat salt pills. Well, I couldn't swallow a salt pill for life. I couldn't swallow any kind of pill. My wife taught me how to swallow pills. I do that now. I know how to swallow now, yeah. I wasn't married then, and I'm glad I wasn't married when I went in, when I was in the army. Because they hear very, very bad stories of people that were married and that went into the army. And then they were considered like missing, and they couldn't be found, and they actually were alive. And then meanwhile the wives remarried. That's a very bad thing. The wife is already, the wife that they were originally married to, with maybe 1 or 2 children. And then finally, the soldier was found somewhere, and he was alive, and he was able to be reinvigorated, and came home and found that his family, I don't know what that is, but I am glad that I was single when I went in. And I found my love later on, afterwards. So I went in younger, and some guys went in older because they were taking almost anybody. When I say anybody, it didn't necessarily have to be 17 or 18 years old. You could have been 19, 20, 23, 24. By that time, people could get married, you know. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got married when I was 24, 25. I'm 25. My wife was 24.
After basic training.
What?
After basic training.
Yes.
Where did you go?
Oh, after basic training, that was somewhere around, that was somewhere around the end of August of 1943. They asked for volunteers to go back up to Edgewood Arsenal. Now, remember, I am a New York boy. I think my father was living in Manhattan, so it was New York City. And so I yearned for the idea of coming back to New York and to maybe being on furlough in New York.
So after basic training, where did they send you to learn your military skill, your job, what you were going to do in the Army?
Okay, right. So now, here I am in Camp Sibert, Alabama, and they asked for volunteers to come up to Edgewood Arsenal where they'll be doing some chemical experiments. Because I said I was in chemical warfare. I told you that.
Right.
And I was a chemical engineer. And I was interested in chemistry and things like that. So I figured if we're going to go in from Alabama, excuse me, up to, what do you call it again? They're going up to Camp to Edgewood Arsenal, which I don't think exists anymore. But I do know that the Aberdeen Proving Grounds are still in existence. That's in Maryland also. So we went up to Maryland, and so here I said, I'm going to go up there, we'll do some chemical experiments, which I liked, and my what do you call it again? And I'll be close to home, because Maryland to New York is a short distance.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. I volunteered. I did. When I got up to Edgewood Arsenal, I find out that the chemical experiments that they're doing are not that I'm not doing. They're doing it on me.
Oh.
So what they were doing is that, you see over here, there's a slight circle.
Mm-hmm.
Not this. Right, there's a slight circle over there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing over here. It's the same, it does something like that.
Right.
It's very hard to see it. After all, it's 80 years later. And it has healed over many times. I've had many problems since then. But that's what I'm for. So, in that case, what did I say again? So then I came up here and found we're doing the experiments on me. What they were doing is they wanted to find out an antidote to a burn on the body of poison chemicals and how to cure it with something else, with a known type of antidote.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew what as the antidote that what they did is they would put half a dollar up here, like circle, make a circle out of the arm, on each one of the arms, and pour some, or not pour, but apply, that's the right word, apply a small amount of mustard gas, liquid mustard gas, which is poisonous, and this is poisonous, and cover it up and come back the next day. They applied that, and they, and then on both of them, on both arms. The next day we come back, it's all blistered on both arms. One arm, they apply a bandage and break the thing. That's like a placebo. On the other arm, they break it and they apply boric acid ointment. The boric acid ointment starts to heal. The placebo is just nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing happens, but it burns. It burns in both cases. So we were taking, your boric acid ointment was being applied to these burns to make sure that we can be able to, if in the event of a chemical attack, like in World War I, there was a chemical, but not in World War II because it was forbidden. But there is a chemical warfare, but there's a chemical unit now. Why did we stay alive? What purpose did we serve? We served one of two purposes. One was the creation of a mortar battalion. And I was in the 91st Chemical Mortar Battalion.
Is that your first unit you were assigned to?
That was a unit went into combat. When it went into combat. It didn't go into combat for a while. You see? I mean, my outfit didn't go in for a while. Meanwhile, with all this waiting and everything else, the Army didn't stand still. See, I, now a two-year student, I have to go from station to station. They send me up. That was after Edgewood Arsenal. I was sent up then to Mississippi. I was sent up to the University of Mississippi, where I would be awaiting my admission to a college where I would complete my chemical engineering studies, A, B, and then become a low-grade officer such as a second lieutenant would become. And meanwhile, I am at the University of Mississippi waiting for a university position to open up that they would be able to have, I would be able to continue my studies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that never happened. And so, then the Army then sent me. So I'm at the University of Mississippi doing physical training, running up and down 700 steps in a football field. You know what I mean? Chinny bones, lying down on the floor and somebody steps on your stomach. And if God forbid they did that today, they would kill me immediately. Any kind of damage to me now is, I'm finished. Boy, oh boy, am I sensitive to things. So we are this is in the winter time rather, and it's not, in the winter time it's not, winter time down south, you don't know it's winter, right? So we are in University of Mississippi. I met a guy who was a little bit older than me. We were bunked together within the university buildings. No fraternization with the young ladies of the school were not permitted. There were no men available. None of the men of the university were even not seen because all of them were serving. Everybody was in the Army, or maybe in the Navy, whatever it may be. And we had the best food, and everything was great, and we were studying, and we had good physical exercises, and we were strong, and it was great. We had a great time. Then, all of a sudden, one day we hear Army Specialized Training Programs are being disbanded. Everybody is going into the infantry, and everybody is going to be shipped down to Camp McCain, Mississippi, and reorganization because something big is going to happen. Nobody knew what was big. Nobody knew what was going to happen. I didn't know it. Nobody knew it. And I'll tell you in a short while what had happened. So, we pack up, and we take the train, and we go down to Camp McCain, Mississippi, which is in the lower part of Mississippi, and we check in. I think God was watching over me, and still is. I'm a strong believer in God. Because if He didn't watch me. So, I check in, and all of a sudden, I hear a call, front and center, Schraub, go to the command post. You know such language. You were in the Army, front and center. Yes, sir. We are 212 men, that the commanding officer says to me. We are 212 men too many. I look at the number, 212. Not 210, 212, 14, something like that. 212 men too many. We're going to have to send you out, and you go back to a unit in chemical warfare, and you go back to Camp Swift, Texas, tomorrow morning. Go in and check out. Yes, sir. Come outside, I look up at the sky and I say, thank you, God. And He sends me out, and the Almighty sends me out to Camp Swift. Now, Camp Swift, Texas. And what am I doing in Camp Swift, Texas? I'm training chemical warfare style what we're going to be doing when we get over the air. Meanwhile, we don't know what's going on over there. And we get a 30-day furlough when we get home. I get a 30-day furlough, and I was walking along near my father's store. I'm walking along, I know that's afterwards, you know. And comes June the 4th, was it the 4th or the 6th? 1944. D-Day. Which is, and I'm walking outside in the street. My father's store is on First Avenue and 10th Street in Manhattan. And I'm walking outside. I look out and I see a newspaper and the front page of the Daily News, big one page, D-Day. That's all. You know what D-Day was? How many thousands were slaughtered? So, I missed D-Day because I was in New York rather than on the beaches of Normandy. Thank you, God. Okay, so then I come back. This time, after I finished, the war was still on, after my 30-day furlough. And I am going to be shipped from Taunton, Massachusetts is the gathering point for all of those going overseas. The war is not over. It's just beginning. In other words, it's not really the beginning, but it's the beginning of the end. We had to do that. We had no choice. How else would we get back into Europe? You can't get it by bombing. The men won't be. The only way you can win territory is by getting on the what do you call it again? Getting on the land.
Boots on the ground.
Get on the ground. That's the only way you can win. Right? That's the way you win land. So, I'm out for another 30-day furlough. And my father was a very strong man. May he rest in peace. I didn't have a mother. Nobody else cared for me except my sisters. Were all not of any help. One of them was very sick. My father was torn between what to do. And, of course, in the United States, everything was rationed. There was no such thing as you can buy anything you want and get everything you want. There was no such thing as silk stockings. Silk, that came from Japan. The silk farm was busy working for them. And they had their own problems over there because they were fighting the Chinese, etc. It was really, World War II was really a world war. Every continent, everywhere, there was fighting. Even up in Alaska. And in Greenland, Alaska, you name it. I'm talking about land troops. There was no such thing as air troops. We're talking of 1940s. So then I'm home for 30 days, and I see the sign, and I see the newspaper D-Day, and I missed that one. And now we're ready to go back. And my father takes me to the station. I never saw him cry in my life. At that time he cried. What could I do? I kissed him goodbye, and he thought, this is it. He'll never see his son again. His one and only son. All the sisters are gone. If not gone, in the hospitals, sick, whatever. So, I take the train, that's now, and how did I get there? Oh. We came to Taunton, Massachusetts, where we are going to be getting on a ship, which is a stepping off point from Boston Harbor. We're going from Boston Harbor. And so the pass that we get was to Providence, Rhode Island. That's all they gave you. And we were all dressed, every one of us, in our fatigue, in our army uniform, not the regular dress uniform. See, and we were dressed like that. And we figured we were taking a chance. We are going to go home. We're going to go right home and say goodbye, and then we come back again that night. And the following day, from Taunton, we get into get into trucks or something, or cars. We go over to the port, and we get onto the ship that is going to go across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe. Now we were going into combat. We were going into Europe now. We weren't going to, in other words, we were being exposed to combat because we had to be in convoy and we had to be escorted by various types of waterway to prevent any what do you call it again? U-boats, and things like that. Because the U-boats were all over the place there. And were you the one who said we're in Panama?
I was in Panama for 3 years, yes.
You were in Panama for 3 years, and you don't know how important your job was. What year was it?
The end of 89 to 93.
All right. Your job was a very important one, because if, God forbid, the enemy decided, for some reason or another, that they want to go through the Panama Canal, you know what damage that can do to the United States? It's not because of shipping that I'm talking now, I'm diverting now to your situation. Not because the Panama Canal would deter any kind of enjoyable trips. Not because of that. It's because of shipping. Do you realize taking shipping materials going from the east to the west, pass right through. The eastern part of the United States is not available to the west unless it goes around the Cape of Good Hope. Is that Good Hope? Or is it Capricorn? No. Which is it?
You know, the tip of South America I know as Tierra del Fuego, but I'm not familiar with the Cape.
It's very important that Panama Canal, which was built in 1903, I believe. Am I right? That's before World War II.
Got it. Now, you're leaving the U.S. Where did you embark on your trip to Europe?
We disembarked at the port and Boston, and it went to was it Liverpool? It's Liverpool on the northern part of, yes, it's Liverpool, northern part of England. On the, this side is Europe, France. Here is the Channel. Here is Southampton is down here. Liverpool is up there. Disembark at Liverpool, and we take a train and we come down to Southampton. We go down to Southampton and we disembark and we get onto in the evening we get onto a smaller ship that is going to cross the Channel. Again, now it is not as dangerous for crossing the Channel as it was a long time ago, or a period of time ago. It was, it now becomes, let's see. Now you are disembarking at Liverpool, and you're taking your train down to Southampton, where we are getting on a small ship that is taking us across to the other side, to Europe. But now we have to, of course, understand that you cannot go right up to the edge, although you are not going to be subjected to a possibility of any tremendous affair, because the Germans have pretty much been knocked to pieces, but we're still fighting a war, and we'll make it eventually. We're trying to make it. We figured we were going to do it. So we get on Liverpool, we get off there, and I get onto this ship, which happens to be a British ship. It's a smaller ship going across the Channel and will drop us off not too far from the beach, where we can walk onto it, but not worry that there are going to be bullets flying for me. Okay? So, and here's the funny part. We get onto the ship at Southampton, and we are now, and we're going to get, and Southampton, yeah, and we, and I am still, I'm kosher. So therefore, even though I was not 100% kosher, and I know I was not kosher in the Army, I couldn't help that. But to a certain extent, I can throw up at the sight of some foods and get disgusted for it. So I'm walking up on the bridge of the ship, you know, and I'm watching. They're dragging something. They're dragging sausages for tonight's meal. My feeling is, So I go downstairs and I say, go down to the hold of the ship, and I said to them, what else do you have here? I said, is there anything you have in the PX over there that I can buy? He said, yeah, we got 2 cans of sardines. So I said to them, you know what? Give me both cans of sardines. I'll have them. I have one now. I'll put one away. And maybe a rainy day will come. And I'll be in combat. I'm going into combat. I figured, I might as well. I'll have another one just in case. I put it in my bag. I don't know where the second can went. The first can was my supper. Right? At least I didn't eat that garbage. And after all that, we used to call me Rainy Day Schraub. Oh boy, all right. So in any event, we come across, we go off the ship, we go down a hole, we go down a ladder, you know, and we walk on to wet sand, and we're walking up the side of a hill, and you look out on the side there, and you see 10,000 crosses, and they, what do you call it again? Stars of David, and whatever else, people that the real heroes, not the heroes like me, because I used to say to whenever I gave lectures to people at my synagogue, wherever it was, about my experiences, and I says, I'm not a hero, I'm here. That's my famous word. I'm not a hero, I'm here. So I don't want you to think I'm a great star. Some guys said that was a hero. I can't stop someone else from saying you're a hero for being there or whatever he did. Cheryl?
Yeah.
So
in Europe,
now we're in Europe. So in Europe, we get set up in an apple orchard. We ate every apple that was in the trees and everything. It was raining, and we go wet, and a lot of us had trench foot and stuff like that. It was rough. He had that, what do you call that, meat, canned meat? What is it called?
Spam.
Thank you. Spam. Ersatz coffee, you know what that is?
No.
Ersatz coffee is not coffee, but it's some kind of chicory. That's what it is. It's chicory coffee. And that's what we lived on. Ersatz coffee. We built little homes for ourselves with part of a tree. You know, use the stumps of 2 trees together we ruined the forest there, whatever we were in. Wasn't any. But I also had an advantage to everybody else. I could speak French. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? Oui? You don't? Okay. But I speak a few languages. Speak English, Hebrew, Yiddish, and French, and a semblance of German, so I can speak all those languages. That has an effect later on in the story. So, we go through that a few months, and finally we get traveling papers. And they pick a few guys out to be advanced posters, advanced directors. That's the right word. And I'm chosen as one of them. I get on my Jeep, they drop me off in a small village in France. Drop me off 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 a.m. And they have to understand I am meanwhile accumulating D-bars. You know what a D-bar is?
No.
D-bar is a bar of chocolate this thick, this size. Like that size. If you are a homebody type of wife and knows what to do, you can create wonders with that chocolate. If, on the other hand, you don't know what to do with it, you save it. Because Jesse does not throw anything out. To this day, I don't believe it is right to throw things out. I was brought up in a depression. I was brought up with not having much, and so therefore you have to save. You save everything else, not to the detriment of other people. No way. You help others out. You must. But at the same time, you don't throw out anything that is good. That's all. I think if you can notice it, a lot of things I don't throw out. But I will gladly help anybody in need. My pleasure. Always. Till my dying day, I'm going to be that way. So, and even then, at that age, what was I, 19, 20 at that time? So, I'm dropped off at this point, and I'm supposed to direct them. There's this way, and there's that way. This way may lead to hell. This way is the way to go. So I have to be there at 6 a.m. I'm wearing my heavy coat. It's in December. It's before the Bulge. Not knowing what's coming up. I decided I'm not going to hang around here for an hour. It's ridiculous. I'm going to start to walk in the direction from where they're coming. And I'm going to make sure to come back early enough to not to be off duty. God forbid I'm off duty, I can get home, you know. Sometimes you get shot for manning a post. So I go about 20, 30 feet, I don't remember, 40 feet. I pass a farm house. And it's a big gate on the house, the entrance to it. And you can see as I walk along, I'm walking this way, because they're coming from here, and I'm going that way. And then I walk over, and I see a gate there. And as I walk there, the old man, the owner of the house, standing there, he comes out around that time. Just so. It's like, as I told you, things happen, to be at the right time for me. She came out. Yes. And I walk out and just say, oh. Have his mouth open. That's what I'm doing. Well, my mouth was open. He's got me that. So he said, oh, he says, bon matin, soldat. Good morning, soldier. Voulez-vous un tasse de café? Do you want a cup of coffee? I'm translating as I talk. So, I think, I said, yes. What am I going to do? I'm going to hang around? I might as well. We have plenty of time. So I go inside the house, and I happened so that I was living in squander way back. We're there until they let us know we're going to the front. And for what reason I didn't know, but it doesn't matter. We're there to fight a war, and that's all there is to it. So, you want to wash your hands? I said, yes. I found out that I was white. The color of your jacket over there was the color of my hands. The color of my face was the same thing. Wipe my face. Vous devez laver les mains. No, les mains is here. And there's le visage, the face, because I know French now. And they said, le pain du beurre. You want bread and butter? Somebody brought me some cake, some bread the other day, only 2-3 days ago. They brought me. I don't know how good it is, but I don't think it was as good as that one. Theirs was much better, I'm sure. Especially when you had nothing else to eat. And I had that. And then they said to me, the coup de grace, said, would you like to have some eggs? And I said, no, that's for you. What do you mean you're going to give me eggs there? Huh? I'll get something to eat later. I said that to myself. No. And she said, and I said, les ouf? And then she says to me, I said, poo-poo. And she said, and there's a window over there, and she says, there's poulet. That means the chickens running around. So they had a fresh supply of eggs every day. And I said, so I'll have some eggs, soft-boiled eggs, of course, not hard-boiled, soft-boiled, with egg. Had a great time. And we said, now I have to go. It's getting time. I see the clock is running. So I get up, and I said, merci beaucoup, and I forgot how to say in French, which I now learned for many years later. The word, right, that we say is, when you do that, is de tout court, which means with all my heart. But I used the Hebrew word, I said ma'od a lot. I realized that. So, and I gave her I had one bar of chocolate with me. One big bar. It was at that size of my arm, my hand, rather. And I gave it to her, and she's going to have a ball with it. And I figured, because, women of real household wives know what to do with chocolate and things like that. And I wanted to give him cigarettes. So I looked in my pocket. All I had was 2 or 3 cigarettes. So I gave him the cigarettes. So I didn't need them. And I didn't know that it was before the time when cigarettes were poison.
Okay.
That happened in 1963. I'm talking about 1944. 44, it wasn't poison yet. It became poison 20 years later. You know that. Do you see anybody smoking today? You do? You do?
Yes, sir.
This is 2025. You smoke cigarettes?
I do not. I see people.
Oh, you see people?
You asked me if I see people smoking. I said, yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't see them anymore because if I see them, I have to walk away. I can't stand the smell. I can't stand the odor. But you see, because you move around a lot, you see a lot of people. So now I came out, I waited a while, got into my Jeep. Little did they realize that I was a different person, because they didn't see me before. They found out that I was white, because I was blackface before. I was so dirty. And so we went on, and there were some parts over here I got lost in. But I do remember something. So we started to ride and drive, and we came to Paris. Paris was already taken by the United States. And we didn't get into any parade, although I have seen the parade on my computer. The parade in Paris, the victory parade. But I did not see any kind of parade in Paris, and we didn't pass through Paris. We passed probably through the outskirts of Paris. But meanwhile, as we were riding along in my Jeep, we passed a boulangerie. You know what that is?
No.
Bakery. Boulangerie. So I said, fellas, wait a minute. We had French money issued by the United States Army. The United States government printed its own money that we used in Europe. So I said, wait a minute, I want to go in there and I want to get some French bread. And I hopped off the Jeep and I went out and bought a long, what do you call it again? What's the name of a piece of bread? Boulangerie, it's
baguette.
What?
A baguette, a loaf.
Thank you very much. Baguette. I bought a baguette. I passed it around. We all have a piece of it to have something to eat. And we kept on driving until we got into, eventually, we were riding along and we would stop in a place where I see cans of, stopped at a place that they had a kitchen for an outfit. And I got off the kitchen, I got off the kitchen, I got off the Jeep. I said, wait a minute. I went out and I grabbed a few cans of sea rations. not K rations, C rations. And you pack yourself in with extra food. You don't know where you're going. Quanta la gusta, quanta. We don't know where we're going, but we're going. Right? Quanta la gusta, quanta la gusta. I sing that every day. So we kept on writing, and we got into Luxembourg. And Luxembourg, we slept at night in a schoolhouse. We went into a schoolhouse, we slept in the schoolhouse. We didn't know that the Bulge was on already. You know what I mean? Bastogne had been stormed. It was in a different part. We're coming from here, and over there is where it's Bastogne, and they're having a big battle over there, and we're coming around inside to relieve them. So we're riding along, and I must sing, and I don't want to sing the song. And we come around, and we are finally settled in a place. It's like on the edge of where the Bulge is. We went around it. Came up as support troops. And I get set up, and in the morning, when I woke on December the 24th or 5th, I think it was, that December the 24th, I remember I had to go on a mission with my outfit we had to go on in my outfit to give some help to the command, the advance patrol, the advance officer, who would be situation long over and be able to look out with binoculars as to what was going on. And there's December the 24th, 1944. And we get into a Jeep, 4 of us, and we're traveling along, and we get to one particular spot. We get to a fork of the road. 1, 2, 3. We take that one. And we're riding along, and all of a sudden, we see a light there. And some of the guys in the outfit were a little bit smarter than me, as the strategic, noticed something. And he says, Heinies, he says, we gotta get out of here. And he stepped out of the Jeep going backwards. Whoosh! He shot back on a road that was from there to there, that wide, without going over the embankment. Go all the way back until we get to the point where we were safe. It was, I was amazed how accurate his driving was. He was a good driver. I was a good talker, but he was a good driver. I couldn't drive, by the way. I didn't learn how to drive, not in the Army. I had to be discharged, and in 1954, they came out with an automatic transmission, and I was able to learn how to drive. And I got my first car. And by that time, I was already married, because I got married in 49. And we're talking now about 44. So in 44, I went backwards, all the way back. And then we went down the other road, and it was okay. He delivered what he had to deliver. We turned around, it was okay. And we went back to sleep that night. That was, I think, Christmas Eve. There were no jingle bells, believe me. Nobody was hallelujah and all that stuff. None of it. In the morning, you get up, it's cloudy outside, just like it was for a few days here. You couldn't see up in the sky even. How's it out there now? Sunny?
It's pretty cloudy.
Huh?
It's cloudy outside today.
Cloudy again. Maybe again. But the clouds were very low. You couldn't see anything. And so, it was cloudy. And it was Christmas Day. December the 25th, 1944. And the Battle of the Bulge is on. We don't know what, when, where, how, who. And I'm in my foxhole, which is the size of that, with my gun, the, what do you call it again? 4.2 mortar, chemical mortar, ready to shoot on a command. You're not allowed to shoot until you're given a command. You know? In other words, nobody takes things into their own hands. That's all. Everything is about the rules. Just like I told you, 212 men before, everything is exact. And it's got to be that way. And I can understand why. You can't just go around and do things like that. 212 men, not. Come on, go back. So, I'm sitting there in the morning and waiting for a command. Nothing. And up above, clouds. Nothing. Planes can't go. Then, at 12 o'clock, noon, high noon, the clouds lift and the planes start coming over. They're going to break the bulge. And all I could hear was boom, 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 boom. That's all I heard, boom, boom, boom. And it was in bed, and you know, oh, the clouds. And it was boom, boom, boom. And then after that, it all cleared, it's quiet. And they started to come back from the front. They passed a little roadway. I was sitting over here, and the roadway was a little bit further back from you, maybe right behind you. And I see them coming along. And I see something that frightened me. I see Jeep coming back with two medics, one on one side, one on the other one, the soldier in the middle, and he's crying for his mother. I see that, and inside of me I break down. I say to myself, God forbid that should ever happen to me. I would rather be dead than have to live a life of fear for the rest of my life. To be living in a hospital bed with just constant fear. Thank God it didn't happen. I hope it never does. I would rather be dead than have to live that way. Crying for your mother, a grown person. I don't know if he has a mother, or had a mother, whatever it may be. Like a baby. I was crying like a baby. Why is it crying? Why is my great-grandchildren sit and cry? So, when I saw that, I said again, thank God for everything. Now to continue. We lived in the area and we moved to another area. I don't remember how we moved there, but we did. Moved to another area, and we're in the side of a hill, and we have our guns are set up. It's cold, it's freezing cold. It was written up in the newspaper, which I have copies of up there, and over there. Of the cold, the bitter cold, I was wearing every piece of clothing that was given to me. Starting with my underwear. After my underwear, my long johns on top of that. Then comes my dress uniform. Then on top of my dress uniform, I'm wearing my fatigue uniform. Then I'm wearing something else. And then I'm wearing my overcoat. And my hands are freezing. And it was rough. We were living in a foxhole. And so we were protected at night. And we had covered. And during the night it would snow. And you get up in the morning, and the only thing you had was plain snow, and you couldn't use the Lister water. See, there was a Lister bag. You know what that is? A Lister bag, and you have in the Lister bag a little bit of iodine for taste, and then it tasted rotten, but it wasn't strong enough for what the water was that was given to us. You know, what's your name, bud?
Pastor.
Pastor, yeah, Pastor. You know, it wasn't warm enough. No. Yeah, what wasn't? It wasn't clean enough, evidently, because we were all suffering from dysentery. And you know what that is when you have all that clothing. So, we stayed there. And meanwhile, they sent me up on top of the hill with 3 other men to dig a hole. The officers sent me up there to dig a hole. I dig a hole. And then they said to me, let's go up and find out what that hole looks like. See what looks so necessary. We'll move up there and we will then utilize the facility, in other words, for a further attack or whatever it may be. We go up there. I'm standing at the edge of the hole, and the officer standing at the hole, and all of a sudden, you hear that. You hear that? I didn't move. They jumped in. They looked up and said, "Why didn't you jump? You get killed." I says, "I heard it." When you hear the bullet, it's gone. If you don't hear it, you're dead. So what am I going to do? You see, that the lucky thing is, I was resigned. If I make it, I make it. If I don't make it, I don't make it. That's all. Right? I'm young yet. I didn't have a family. That was a good thing about it. I think I told you before what it was like for those who did have a family. God forbid if you go into battle and you have a family to worry about. So then, I don't remember what happened after that. I do remember taking a shower. They've had a field shower. And you were able to get yourself washed up in the field. And they made hot water and stuff. It was wonderful. So, now we go on further. Go towards the end. And somehow or other, we got back into our Jeeps, and I'm a little bit hazy about what happened subsequently.
That's okay.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Then before I knew it, Patton was our general, and Patton said, "Move." He says, "I don't give a damn with blood and guts, He shot right over. We crossed the Rhine at the night. I remember that. We crossed across the Rhine River on pontoon bridges. We crossed on pontoon bridges, and we got to the other side. But while we were crossing, I was looking up. I see firing, but I knew it wasn't anything, or we knew that it wasn't anything real dangerous anymore, because the war was pretty up ahead. And we moved in. We got to one place on the other side of the river. And I had a friend by the name of Doc Lofstrom. Doc's a nickname, Doc Lofstrom and I were buddies. And he used the expression, asshole buddies, he used the expression. Of course, he slept one against the other, And we got to a field, got to a place, and we settled down, and I went, and during the night, I stood guard, and he slept because he wasn't feeling well. And then we got up in the morning, and we were in this field, we were in this area, and I see people sleeping on the floor. And I go over there, take a look. The guy's dead. This one's dead, that one's dead. they had a battle there before. We were out, we missed it, fortunately. And some of them, you looked at him and said, this guy is an old man. He was in his 30s. That's an old man. And that was already, shall we say, the Maginot Line or the Siegfried Line. The Siegfried Line was set up, the Maginot Line, Siegfried Line was set up between Germany and France after World War I. And so, I use the attitude, don't fire until you see the white of their eyes. I never fired my gun. I never fired a machine gun because I didn't want to upset the situation and to cause any kind of problems that are unnecessary. It's easy to make a mistake, and a mistake, a deadly mistake, is unforgivable. But a mistake that is not, that can be corrected. In other words, where you don't, if you hold your fire, you're better off than when you let go. It's all recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So until that day when I got home, now you want to know what happened further. So we crossed the Rhine. We got to the other side. And we went rather fast because Patton had pins in his rear end, and he went. And then we got to a point where you couldn't use our guns anymore because our guns required sit down and set up, and that takes like an hour or two, and in an hour or two they could be miles away. You can't do that. So we drove, that's all. And we get to an area already now, it's tickling Missouri, tickling Germany. I wanted to show you something. Did I show you the other thing? Boy, oh boy. Oh, I had it prepared.
No worries.
Huh?
No worries. It happens.
Huh? I have to give it to you. I gave you that.
Mm-hmm.
Did I give you anything else?
No.
No? So now, we get to the point we're winning the war. Great expense, of course. And this is what you gave me.
You looking right in the camera now.
Coming up. Coming up like roses.
You're just fine.
Hey, come on. Oh, my nose. Who were the people that came over before?
I think that was your nurse. She wanted to change some bandages.
So what did she say?
She'll be back at 4.
She said she'll be back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? So, have more bandages changed to me today than it had in my entire military career. The only thing I did in my military career, I had a cyst over here. They gave me an operation over here, and so on.
Got it.
Here in the face.
Now, when did you leave the European theater?
Left the European theater. What's it say on there? You have to.
That's okay if you don't remember. All right, so you
And left the European theater after I got to Europe, and then I got to, let's see, he got the story about you have the pictures of the.
Yeah, I do. They're not important.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that is important.
Okay.
Because it shows you what they did. And we left them about, I don't know, was it June, July?
Okay, June, July, that's fine. We don't need an exact date.
Yeah, June, July of 1945. That's right, because December 44 was not D-Day. June 44 was D-Day. December 44 was Bulge. And then we were going through Europe and wound up in after May 1945. We wound up in around Titling, and I think it's June, something like, because I have it recorded there. And what happens there is do you hear a buzzing, a beep beep?
No.
It's coming from me, my hearing aid. All right, so so comes June, May 1945, is Hitler commits suicide. May God destroy his soul. I don't want to say anything nice, because he didn't deserve it. And then we have, what do you call it again? And then later on, the atomic bomb was thrown. It was thrown at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it was in around July of 1945.
Were you still in the military in July 1945?
Yeah, in the military, yeah.
Okay.
July 1945. Yeah, and then I am the demobilization. In the course of the demobilization, what they have to do is they have to demobilize everybody, but you can't send everybody out, 15 million people out into the streets, because it's slow idea. And what they did is they started to send us out slowly. And how do they do it? First thing is, come September of 45, September of 1945, I had the privilege of going to visit my cousin who married just recently, because the year before I went overseas, I also visited my cousin around Rosh Hashanah, which comes out in September. And that's when I went overseas afterwards. And after I came back from overseas, I went to visit him again. And that was in Galveston, Texas. And then from Galveston, and then afterwards, we went to Camp Swift, and it wasn't a matter of training for anything. The war was over, you know, and but we could not be. Then they sent me back to Cleveland, Ohio. At Cleveland, Ohio, I became an MP, military police, so that I could be discharged eventually from Camp Atterbury, Indiana. You know, the government didn't mind shifting the boys around from one state to another, you know, so you went from one place to another. And I was discharged from Camp Atterbury, Indiana. That's where I had my final examination, physical, and they said, if you have any ideas of re-enlisting, I would suggest to you that when you get down to the other end of the line there's a guy there with an x-ray machine, and he will raise the x-ray machine to your head. You're gonna, you know what I mean? Raise your head to the machine. I says, no, I'm not gonna re-enlist. I'm going home.
What was your career when you left the military?
What?
What was your career?
Was a career?
What did you do as it for a living?
All right, now, I came back, and I came back to home, and I was going to finish up my education. And I was going to go back to City College of New York and continuing the education of the...
Did you? Did you finish your education?
Huh?
Did you finish your education?
I finished it. So I said, this is my education. So I came back, and it was discharged from Atterbury, and it was a nice long train ride. Come home, Dad, and so I want to go continue education, and then I start to think, I forgot so much of my engineering course. My engineering was a very, very difficult course, to the point where it was too much. So, where am I going to get a job? You can't get a job as an engineer. And I was worried about anti-Semitism, which would become a part of my, being a Jew would be what do you call it again, like a liability. I don't want that to be a liability. That's ridiculous. I want to be able to worship and do whatever I want and be in line with everybody else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, he says so I said to myself, what am I going to do be an engineer? And my father says to me, why don't you become an accountant? He says, you study accounting, go change your course, change it from what do you call it again? From engineering to accounting. You like the arithmetic anyway, and you'll be able to do that. And it was the best thing I ever did. Because then, when I did it, I went back to school and re-enrolled in City College downtown. City College downtown was the city college for You know about City College, don't you?
No.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I see. Where do you live?
Hunts Point.
Retired, and I took accounting, and so what did I do next? And then what? Then you wanted to know where I studied next? No, what I did next? So I studied accounting at the downtown City College, and graduated from there as an accountant. And then I was studying for my final exams, and I was in my father's store, and I was looking outside. Meanwhile, the office is over there, the door is over there, my father is in the basement over there, and in walks a beautiful girl, which is not normal for that place. And the story was that my wife, my future wife, came in to meet her parents. Her parents were going to come and to pick up her father's shoe. Now you can see that old man over there, if you can see a picture of him, look at her beard. He had a small foot. You see, he had a small foot. And so he, 5.5 was his size. And he had to have a special shoe. So he asked my father, whom they were very good friends. And actually, to an extent, they were also related, a little distantly, but they had a very good, strong love for each other, because a friendship that was developed actually in when they were living in Europe. See, this is after the war. Nothing to do with the war. So he came in to buy his shoe, and he was with his wife. He was coming in there, and his daughter was coming in to buy a ticket for a show. I mean, so his daughter was coming in because they had to buy extra ticket from the society. They belonged to a certain society, and the society said to them, you have to buy another ticket. We're giving you a tax. It's like a tax to the member. And you come in, and so if they have an extra ticket, they decided to give it to their daughter. They didn't have any idea that they were going to be meeting him. They didn't know anything like that. They had no idea. And my father didn't have any idea either. And the two of them come in, but first my future wife comes in, gorgeous looking girl, and she sits down on a chair, and I said to her, Papa, we've got this young lady came here, and she's waiting for her parents. Oh yeah, her parents are going to come to pick up her father's shoes. Yeah, that's all. Keep her company. So I kept her company. But what do young kids talk about? School. You talk about work. They know what they're saying. Just became friendly. And that's all. And then afterwards, they come in, and my father, and then her father was a little bit spunky, so he says, can we make a match here? Can we make a match here? You know what that means? That means you're stuck for life.
How long were you married?
Huh?
How long were you married?
68 years.
Wow, beautiful. How many children do you have?
3 daughters.
3 daughters. Awesome,
Right.
Awesome.
How many grandchildren do I have?
Tell me.
8.
It's beautiful.
How many great-grandchildren I have? Somewhere around 6, I think.
Wow, wow.
Not too well. And about, I don't know, my wife passed away in 2017, and
Wow.
there were times when I wasn't feeling well. I was in the hospital, and they sent me over to Menorah, Menorah Home for the Aged. Not Menorah Home for the Aged, Menorah Home. And the Menorah Home is located on the Atlantic Ocean, not exactly the Atlantic Ocean, but on an inlet beforehand. And I was sent there. I mean, I was back and forth to the hospital and then Menorah, and then afterwards, I'm there in Menorah for a few months, and they said, we can't do any more for you. You'll have to move out and so forth. So they decided that they were going to move me into independent living in another place that happens to be located in Riverdale, New York, on the Hudson River, a beautiful place. And I was very frugal all my life in trying to save $1 for tomorrow. And I wouldn't use the word cheap, because cheap is that you never buy anything for yourself or others. But frugal means that you are careful with $1 and that you will be kind to where you have to be, and and the same thing holds for yourself. In other words, you don't get what you want, you get what you need. If you need something, you gotta get it. If you want something, think 6 times, not twice, 6 times before you decide to get it for yourself or anybody else. In other words, you'll see.